Welcome to Season 1, Episode 4 of The Real Estate Guys with Century 21 Frank Frye Real Estate. I'm Phil Frye, the Real Estate Guy. Along with me, my co-host Frank Frye.
Yo.
Hold for applause. And our very special guest, Denise D. Keefe, joining us today. Dee, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
So you joined our company back in 2010, and you were transitioning from another career. What was it like making that career change to be such a successful real estate agent?
Well, I don't know how I got so successful. It was just, it was outside of my 9 dots and outside of my comfort zone. But once I talked to you and I determined what I had to do, got the courses done, and then one of the older agents took me under their wing and started really training me with some really valuable information, and I liked it. I found out very quickly that I liked it. I had thought about being a real estate agent in my 30s, but just the timing was not right then, so the timing was right.
And what background were you coming from? What career?
I worked for a cable TV company for 21 years. I worked in ad sales, and I worked in video production, and I worked in marketing.
All right.
So I spent about 7 years in each group there, so, and we were all intertwined.
How much did the promotional background help you with transitioning over to what we do?
A lot, because of I can do my own graphics. I can do a lot of things like that I was used to doing up there. Ads in the paper, plus it kind of slid me into some of the office stuff here too, which I really enjoy also. And so I wasn't afraid of it. And I moved right into it, I felt.
I know one thing for sure is you are one of the best people I've ever worked with on the Excel spreadsheets.
Oh, thank you.
And in general.
What's the priority on that, 1 or 2?
In general first,
Okay.
then the spreadsheet second.
Okay.
So for years you've helped us and being the main listing agent for our Fannie Mae foreclosed listings.
Yes.
So what is it like working with a corporate seller like Fannie Mae versus a traditional seller?
Well, from my past experience, I had a lot of corporate experience with the heads of the company that I previously worked for. So it was just a natural for me to understand those folks and start working with them and creating relationships so they would know who I was and that they could count on me to get things done. As you know, I don't ignore what they give me. I go right to it and get it done, whatever they want.
There you go.
So I just have always worked that way with them, and I have always found them. Everybody says to me, my gosh, that must be a nightmare. And I don't feel that way. I have always felt, oh, it's great. It's a challenge. I enjoy it. And I took that 2-year hiatus, but guess who's back? I'm back. And I
Cue
like
the music.
Cue the music.
Da-da-da-da.
Yeah, guess who's back? But yeah, I enjoy it a lot, and they got a little better too along the way. They got less formal, more into where we live, what we're doing, the market locally, and you can tell I've created some friendships with a few of the folks there, and they know me, by name, and even in the background when I was training Bitch to do some stuff. They knew who I was, so I kept it that way.
For years it was the Fannie Mae foreclosed properties, the houses were sold as is, no repairs, the utilities may not be on, but that has changed.
That's changed. They've gone, in the last month or so that I've kind of kicked back in, they have sold a couple as is, but they're not selling as well. A couple of them have had to go to auction because they just people weren't looking for the as-is. They're looking for those completely restored, rehabbed homes, and as they were used to with some of the Fannie Mae's. So now I'm seeing it kind of trending back where we're starting to do repairs. They've changed the repair process, and that was one of my reasons for, stepping down a little bit there for a while, because it was very confusing, very hard to learn. But in the 2 years of training and still kind of working with it, I started to understand it. I started to know what to do, and I'm not afraid of it anymore. So now it's okay. But now they're also rearranging it a little bit to where it's more user friendly for the agents and them. I think they were struggling with it too. So now they're going back to repairs now a lot.
What's your best advice for a buyer or a buyer's agent that wants to pursue a Fannie Mae foreclosed home?
Read the instructions, because Fannie Mae provides a lot of one-sheet, instructions on how to put an offer in, what's required of the buyer, all the little pieces and parts that go into getting an accepted offer. So I would say just gain a little bit of knowledge yourself and call me, because I'll tell you anything that I can. I'm very helpful. I walk them through it, and it's easy from my end to help folks with that kind of questions and helping their buyers. So, because I want it to sell too.
We've been through a lot over the years with just real estate in general, but especially some of the foreclosed homes or the investment buyers, things like that. What are some of the memories that really stand out that you can tell us?
Well, I think you know what my number one memory is.
I want to see if they match up.
Well, my most horrifying and ultimately, I don't want to say funny, because ultimately it wasn't funny.
Right.
But I had to bury a horse, a poor dead horse that had been ignored and neglected, and that was a tough one. And I don't know about you, but I don't readily know who to call to bury a horse. It's not your routine people you call. Call the 911 dig or 411 dig, whatever. That doesn't work. So I ended up finding a farmer that would do it for me, and we got him buried on the premises. So that turned out pretty good. Then the other one was, I don't know if you remember this one or not, but I think it was a tenant that lived in the house, and she swore that there were dead bodies buried under the house.
Okay.
And she said, you can't go in here when I'm not here, because they've got laser beams going through the house, and they'll know when you're here, and they might set off a bomb or something. I mean, she believed everything she was telling me.
Yeah.
So I did notify the police on that one and say, help me out of this property. So they did check it out and found nothing.
I'd forgotten about that one.
Yeah.
But I do remember that one.
Yeah, I got a million now. A pigeon attacked me once in a foyer on 4th Street. Then I left the house, went around the side to go to the back, and fell in a hole about that deep. I said the neighbors were probably wondering what is going on over there. So
I think we've all fallen in some holes walking around the yard.
Oh my gosh.
Now with Ring cameras, there's probably a lot of good footage of us out there.
There is, I'm sure. But that's some of my most. I'm sure there's more. Some I can't tell.
I remember the horse one too, but I had forgotten that the horse actually passed away while we were working on the listing.
Yeah.
I was thinking that the horse was already buried, and we had to figure out how to disclose that.
Yeah, no, he was laying in the stall, and they had covered him up with a blanket or something back there. And then we worried there too what was in the crawl space.
Yeah.
Because it didn't smell very good when you opened up that little trap door. But
yeah, I remember that.
It was a beautiful property. It could be a beautiful home. I've driven by it a couple times, but I haven't really. In fact, it must look so different. I don't readily know it's there.
Right.
You know how you do. Yeah, that was and then to deal with that person again, years later.
Yeah.
And of course, we went to court with that one too.
Sure. We'll go into that one on season 2 of the Real Estate Guys.
The sequel.
Yeah. So, Dad, we are at the point where you get to ask your mystery question for Denise D. Keefe. What do you got?
Well, didn't you have us in a patrol car one time?
You got, yeah.
Yeah, Phil and I sat in a patrol car. And
Yeah, that was that same one.
That was the
That
same
was
one.
the horse.
Get in the
That was
house,
the
yeah.
horse house.
yeah.
Because we had a sheriff lockout to remove the current occupants of.
Yeah, the occupant.
At that point, we didn't know if the occupant was still in the house or not.
Right, and he had already gone, so.
Yeah, so it was like a very slow SWAT team walking across the front yard of the
Yeah.
property
That was
while
scary. Well, we waited
we
there.
stayed back and until we got the go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, fun times.
Any other memories we want to relive?
No, I think I was the one I remember the most.
I remember going with him early on a call out on Hardscrabble Road.
Hardscrabble.
I didn't even know where Hardscrabble Road was.
Right.
And
Johnstown,
it was a log cabin.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I went and I was so thrilled because I love log cabins and I think you asked me, what do you think, Dee? And that was like only my second week, maybe. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm like, I have better answers now.
I mean, it's been 14 years since
I
you got
know.
licensed.
Hasn't been that long?
Does it seem that long to you?
No, it still seems like a new job to me sometimes.
Yeah.
It still seems new. Even though I'm not new, it feels new. You know, because I'm still, because I think with real estate, you learn something new every day.
Right.
You're always dealing with something, and even even though I took that 2 years of being kind of in the background, Fannie Mae did change some things. So I'm finding myself going, okay, where do I go to do this? Where do
Right.
I go to do that? And I'm a hit and miss kind of person, so I usually find it, but I have to stop and think now, you know, because things change. But yeah, it's 14 years.
So I've been here about 16 years, and this is the longest I've ever been with a company. Is this the longest you've ever been with the same company?
No, I was 21 years at the cable company.
Okay.
And before that, I did three years, maybe 2 years at Cardinal Industries. I don't know if you ever heard of those
Yes,
folks.
yep.
Cardinal Industries, I was in the video production department there. And before that,
Danny Forey,
you're Danny Ford?
Cardinal Industries.
Oh, really?
Shout out to Danny.
Okay. But then before that, I worked 6 years at Fairfield Medical Center.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I met Jeff.
Okay.
And that was, I did nursing kind of job first, and then I went to they found out, like you, that I knew how to do the computer. And once they found, and that was back in the day before we were even using a lot of computers. And
Hey, I think we can teach her Excel spreadsheet.
yeah, they took a hit on their what they called them back then, the big drive, and I had to sit in a room all by myself re-entering patients' names with ages and their addresses.
Oh.
Okay.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful. So I'm not telling anybody ever again that I know how to work a computer.
So how does real estate compare to all those other jobs and careers?
I think, and you know, when you have a good job, like I'll use the one I had, cable company. You know, we were family. Everybody, because we started out as 3 guys owned the company, and we were a small company, and then all of a sudden it got bought by a bigger, conglomerate. But it was a family, and it was fun. We had a lot of fun during the day. I had a TV in my office. I did commercials. I watched half hour. Maybe that's why I don't watch commercials so much nowadays. But I had to set the commercials and make them run, and it was fun. It was interesting and it was fun. I have a ton of good friends that I still have from there, and I felt then when that let go of me, I thought I'll never find that again, but I did when I walked in here. And you remember the story about you and your mom, or Diana and your mom out front. I stayed about an hour standing out here talking to those two. And I just met them that day. So, I knew right away it was going to be a good
If you got past them, you
yeah,
got,
I did.
you were in.
I got that vote, so I was in. And then just the people I've met along the way, the agents who are no longer here, like, Bev and Andrea and Linda and Gail. Can they remember?
Yeah.
Gail, they were all important to me and learned a lot from all of them. And I remember riding in the car with them, and they'd all 4 chime, I sold that house. Then you go down a little further, I sold that house. I thought, wow, I can't wait till I can sit in the car and say, I sold that house. And I do that now.
That is a rite of passage.
Yeah, it is. So, but I've always enjoy people. I found my niche with Fannie Mae because I also enjoy being behind the scenes a lot. I think you know that about me. I'm not an out front person. How I got to be board president of the Historical Society, I'll never know. But I am a behind the scenes kind of. I was always the person that just makes it work right. So I think that's why the paperwork and the compliance thing that I'm kind of working on now.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a good fit for me.
You mentioned that we learn something every day. At least it seems like it.
Yes,
Something comes across us that, okay, I didn't know how to do that before. I've
Right.
never heard of that.
Yes.
What else is it about real estate that keeps you coming back day after day?
I, I told you, I think when I first started, you asked me why I wanted to be a real estate agent. I said, because I used to like to look in windows of houses at night. Because I always like to see what was on the walls and things. I think a little bit of that is still in me. I like houses. I've always liked houses. And that keeps me coming back. And I feel we're doing something good for that client. Now, I don't handle a lot of buyers anymore, but I still feel for that buyer when they're on the other side of the contract. I had one this morning. There were just too many repairs, so they felt they had to terminate the contract. Yeah, am I upset? Not upset, but just sad for them because I know they really wanted it. And it's a human story, I think, a lot of times with real estate where it's not just the contract and the buying and selling, it's actual people. And this is the biggest purchase they're ever going to make, probably, or one of. They're going to, if they make more than one. But it's interesting, and even right down to the MLS, I find that interesting, and the different things you can do that I didn't know I could do certain things in the MLS, but now you find the reports you can do and things like that. I find it very interesting and challenging some days, but I love a good challenge where I can be a troubleshooter and a solution maker. So that's kind of what it does too.
You also do a lot of transaction coordination for our office.
Yep.
Data entry, which means putting in new listings, pictures, things like that. So you get to see a lot of the listings before we've seen the pictures and the features. What do you see, when you're looking at the pictures and that you think, oh, a buyer's going to love this? Or what are some of the features that stand out to you?
I always can't wait till I see the kitchen pictures. That's one of my favorites, the kitchens or the bathrooms that have been updated. Even like lower levels that have been completely redone with a walkout, things like that. Or even the acreage. What does the land look like around if it's a farm? I'm doing one now for Aaron that's got that, it's a nice house with all these features, and I like the I can also tell when it's not going to sell very well.
Right.
And sometimes it is the picture. The picture's like, what were they thinking? Why is that way? Why did you turn this way to take that picture? But most generally, they're good pictures that are coming through. Well, a lot of them are having professional ones done, and that you can tell the difference there. But I have to say a good kitchen with nice appliances and updates. I think that makes people a little more interested in the property, especially if there's a woman involved that wants to cook, or a man who's a chef or something.
Does that also ring true for Fannie Mae foreclosed homes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the ones that they've redone, that when I go back in, when there was one in Baltimore that was an old house, I thought, what are they going to do with this? And they did it. And the first thing, you walk in the back door, you go into the kitchen, that was the first thing. It was like, they moved a window, they moved the sink where it was, the stove, everything got rearranged, and it was orange when I first walked in. Everything was orange. And then it was that, they always use that agreeable gray and accessible beige. Yeah. But it was very clean, very crisp, and then throughout the whole house they had done that in every room. And that makes a difference. And I think sometimes people think because it's foreclosed, they're afraid of them.
Right.
They're a little bit leery. But I feel very trustworthy about the work that's been done, because I talked to the contractors, and we've had a few that have been done by a contractor I hired specifically, and I always make sure they're doing a good job, and the one I have right now does. So I think just knowing, I wish you could almost show before and an after in the MLS.
Yeah.
Fannie Mae would probably not agree with that, but I think that would, and that kitchen especially, if you could put something side by side like that, it would be amazing. And they do a good job these days with getting the updates done in a way that people like. People are attracted to what they're doing. So,
Dad, how many years ago did we start working with Fannie Mae foreclosed homes? Was that in the 90s?
Yeah, probably in the 90s.
And then when we went through COVID, they slowed down on all the foreclosures.
Yeah. they still had, I still had about 5 or 6 properties that were kind of working through the repair process, and only ones I got at that time were ones that were already started before the pandemic, or before the rule was made that they couldn't foreclose on anything. So, but the ones that were already in the process, I think I had about 5 maybe that were in that state. Yeah, they slowed down a lot, and now I've got 12 right now.
I'm thinking during the housing market crash, we probably had about 20 in inventory at any time.
I had 25 at my highest,
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah.
and that's when I was going full speed ahead in those days, and that's when they gave me 5 counties.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Fannie Mae stands for Federal
National Mortgage Association.
National Mortgage,
Association.
which is located like some big building somewhere, right?
Yeah, it's in Texas. They're located.
Oh, is it Texas?
It's Texas right now. They were in Chicago in my early days with them, but now they haven't moved to Texas. They just switched where they were, you know. But yeah, what was the question you asked?
We were talking about how many were in the the hopper.
Right, and then I had 25, and then a supervisor called me one day and said he wanted to talk to me about it, and he said you're one of our best, and we'd like to give you more properties. And I had filled out a survey about a week before that, and so that's when he said, we'd like you to cover, you know, Licking's your home county, but Fairfield, Perry, Muskegon, and Knox.
The surrounding counties.
Yep,
Yeah.
surrounding counties. And then they've tried to give me houses in Franklin, but I don't want to go up that way. So I have gone outside of that just a tad. I've stayed within Knox County, but we've gone a little further than we want to go. I don't. If it takes you 2 hours to get there, it's not worth it.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's not worth it, because you gotta weekly inspect the properties.
Right.
And so that, you know, you got to make sure you can get there and back and not run your gas tank out. So.
You mentioned being president of the Licking County Historical Society.
Yeah.
So how many years have you been involved with?
Well,
Is it 10?
it's more than that, because
Okay.
because it wasn't long after I started
Okay.
here that I talked with Linda and got that. I just started on the board at that time. It was probably 2012, maybe.
Okay.
And I then took about a year hiatus off of that. You have a 3-year term on the board. You can take a total of 2 3-year terms. And I had taken 2, but I quit sometime before that second term was done. And I got a call about half a year later. One of the current president at the time wanted me to come back. They were looking for another trustee, because you have to have 12 board members. And I said, oh, okay, I'll come back. So I decided to come back. And I've never looked back since that. In fact, it was a fluke, because the current president, they asked me to be vice president because they knew I had a little bit of experience. And then the president at the time, he took the job, and then they slid me into vice president, and then he was only in the job just maybe a month, maybe 1 meeting, and he quit. Said he had other obligations, and guess what? That made me the president. So I got kind of put into it. It was right at the 2019 mark, right when COVID started. And so 2020, we decided, to have meetings via email. We were all communicating mostly with email. We didn't have many on-site. We didn't have any on-site meetings. And then we finally started meeting with mask. We sat but we have it to where we can be far apart from each other in there. But so then when a president is only supposed to be a president for 3 years, I think it was 3. And so they amended the bylaws to where I could continue, because they said that wasn't, part of my presidency was during COVID, so they added another, year. Well, then about 6 months ago, they amended the bylaws again. And I'm now president till July of 2026.
Congratulations on your lifetime appointment.
And we've got, I was able to hire a director, and we have good support staff, and we meet once a month, and then I started an executive meeting once a month too, ahead of the regular meeting, so we can kind of break down and see what we want to talk about for the full meeting.
Nice.
And And our Christmas open house is next
Oh, yeah.
Friday, or the Saturday after Thanksgiving. And Santa Claus will be there, and all three houses are open, Buckingham House and the Sherwood-Davidson and the Webb House.
And I'm sure you and Jeff will have a special appearance.
We will.
Yes.
We will be special. We'll be in
Okay.
the corner by the fireplace, probably.
All right, I will look for you. I love that night.
I know
That's
it's
a
a lot of
night,
fun.
yeah.
It's a lot of the kids are amazing, and they. This year we have a mailbox sitting on the. I don't know where he's going to put it, but we have a table where kids can write letters to Santa Claus.
Okay.
So that's something added. And we have a couple craft tables inside for the kids. I leave there with glitter all over my gloves, everything. And we have refreshments, for everybody that comes in. And there are times in that room, you know how big the
Right,
meeting house
yeah.
is. It's full. It's packed. And they say the houses are the same. People just constantly going through and going through. We have a lot of folks that work as docents that night and does the tours of the houses. And the house in the Sherwood-Davidson house is going to be decorated in the Edwardian era.
Ooh.
And that's, I believe they said 1900 to 1910.
Okay.
And I am sure it's going to be beautiful because Bobby Meldal is she's our head volunteer, and she does all the decorating of the Sherwood-Davidson house and the upkeep of it. We can't ever lose her. She's really good.
Fantastic.
So we've got a lot of things going on. We just finished
Is
a
the
strategic
Lincoln
plan.
House hat still there?
No, we don't know where that is. That's somewhere else. We just talked about that. Somebody said it was in the courthouse? But nobody knows where it is. We just talked about that, so I'll have to ask.
It's a mystery.
Yeah.
Suppose they blew off when the train left in
Yeah,
Newark.
there was a story that the Lincoln hat was, but they never was able to completely confirm that it belonged to Lincoln, but they thought it was. And it's somewhere stored. Now I'll have to ask Howard, because we just talked about that. And the other thing I want to say is, I don't mean to be plugging a bunch of stuff, but the canal is 100 or 200 years old next year.
That's neat.
And we're having a big celebration at the Canal Market.
Oh, good.
It's going to be on June 28th, and we've got a lot of things happening with it. We have sent out invitations to Governor DeWine and to the Governor of New York, because they were both on hand at the time of the actual dedication.
Neat.
And we have the actual speeches that they gave, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be a very nice event. So this year coming up is going to be Canal pretty much all the way through. We have the Graveyard Walk in, it's called the Echoes of the Past in Cedar Hill in September, and that topic this year is going to try to be Canal. If we can get people who were living here during the canal or had something to do with working with the canal or whatever. So it's going to be our topic this year.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, thank you.
We are at the point where you get to ask me your mystery
My
question.
mystery question. Do you ever wish? Because when I first met you, you hadn't had your license all that long.
Right.
And I thought you'd been here a really long time. And do you ever wish you could go back to the old days of being just an agent instead of the broker?
No, because I, from from day one, I was hired in as
To be the broker.
general manager
Yes,
of
yeah,
Century 21
right.
Frank Frye Real Estate. Since the Chicago Cubs didn't want me as general manager,
Darn it.
this guy came a calling. And so I've never actually been,
An agent.
just an agent.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Now I
right.
do think it would be interesting someday to be just an agent to experience that. But yeah, I've never
Okay.
walked.
Walk the walk.
Yeah, I've never
fell in the hole.
So I have the highest respect for agents who, like yourself, made the transition and came over, and it's all about commission-based sales. And
That reminds me of another thing that happened one day in here. I was in here, it was early on, and Diana took a phone call, and she said, she goes, I need an agent. And I was sitting at the other phone, and I said, is anybody here? And she goes, she's looking at me real funny, and I said, is there anybody in the back? She goes, I went, oh, I'm an agent. I can take that call.
it is weird though when
Yeah, because
all
I'm
of a
like-
sudden it's
yeah.
you, and you're like, oh yeah, that
I
is
went
me.
from a job where I really didn't, I was kind of the coordinator, and I didn't
Yeah.
speak up a lot in meetings and things. I was always there, but not And then here I am, I'm the person that can take their call. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm allowed to answer those questions? So that was kind of funny.
All right, my mystery question for you.
Oh, dear.
And one of our favorite things is when I'm so excited, can't even say it. When Dee dresses up for Halloween. And so I've got a couple of your favorite costumes.
Yes,
so
yes.
Casey, could we get a tight close up of Dee Winterize,
Dee Winterize.
superhero?
It's still the word I dislike the most.
And also Dee dressed up as a lockbox.
That was a good one, wasn't it?
So I scoured the internet today.
Did you find anything else? You found these? Oh my gosh.
I don't think I've ever seen the internet.
So
Oh,
my
my.
question to you is, which one is your favorite costume? I've got mine. Yeah, Dee Winterize.
Dee Winterize. I thought that was fun.
That one was very clever, yeah.
This was like,
Yeah.
because it was right after a time I'd gone through fits of de-winterizing a house and all the things I had to do and couldn't do, and I hated it. You know?
What's that you're holding in your hand? Is that the
It's
trophy?
the trophy.
For best
I
dressed?
won
Yeah.
for the best costume. Yeah, that was fun. The cape has, what's it got on the back? DW or something?
I think
forget.
so, yeah.
I have
yeah.
to find that cape. Yeah, that was fun. That was a good one.
Dee, thank you so much for being our guest today. And
Thank you.
Thank you so much for all of the dedication and all the expertise, all the professionalism, all the troubleshooting, all the helping that you've done over the years, and of course all of the sales too for our company.
Thank
so
you. It's been my pleasure.
We thank you so much.
And I'll keep going as long as I can.
All right.
There you go.
Dad, you got any other questions for me?
No, you're doing fine.
Okay.
Keep it up.
Keep it up, yeah.
All right, so thank you so much. And this episode of the Real Estate Guide is brought to you by Century 21 Frank Frye Real Estate. We're located downtown Newark at 65 East Church Street. We can help you with all of your real estate needs. You can also find us on social media and at our website, c21frankfrye.com, or give us a call, 740-345-4001. We're also sponsored by Casey Claxton with Claxton Custom Printing and Promotions. Casey is our cameraman, our videographer, so thank you very much, Casey. And make sure to contact Casey for all of your promotional needs. Thank you so much, and join us again next time on The Real Estate Guys.
There you go.